Okay, so in this quick video I'm just going to show you how to quickly and easily make a copy of a Grovemade shelf, or one that's more suitable for a Carby desktop. This one's made with a solid butcher's block walnut shelf with solid 50mm by 200mm cork block legs and a 4mm thick, very strong aluminium shelf that has been coated in bonded leather. There's a very nice looking monitor shelf, and I'll run through the stages of how I built this in this video. Enjoy. Okay, so this is the next section. This is a 300mm by 200mm by 50mm thick cork block yoga mat. I think it was about £12–13 on Amazon, and this is what's going to make the shelf sections for the monitor stand. So this is going to be cut into 3 equal pieces. It's going to work out to be just less than 100mm because of the thickness of the blade cut on the chop saw that I'm going to use to cut it with. Then after I've cut that into 3 pieces across there, I'll have 3 pieces 200 wide by just short of 100mm deep, 50mm wide, and then I'm going to cut halfway through the distance of that. I'm going to cut a 5mm slot by running a circular saw blade down it a couple of 3 times to make a slot wide enough for the aluminium piece of sheet that I've got that I coated with bonded leather, and that will sit in between that groove as the shelf. But these are the main shelf support brackets I'm going to make out of cork, and then what I'll probably do is I'll just drill a couple of holes through the centre of there to attach it to the shelf with screws. The cork itself will make a good surface for sitting on the block after I've dyed it, and what I'll do is I'll drill a recess into those holes and countersink them so that screws sit inside there. Be plenty strong enough for a monitor shelf. Get on with the rest of that bit then. So I'll cut that block into 3. As you can see from this edge, there's a slight difference of opinion in some of these cuts. So all I'm going to do now is once I've rounded off the middle piece the same as it's done on there, I'm just probably going to sand it down. It hasn't got to be that fussy. If not, then I'll use a round over bit on my router to bring that around. And then once I've done that, I'll just put them all together on a flat surface, stick a couple of clamps either side to hold them in place, and then I'll plane or sand this off to make the legs exactly flat and exactly equal, so there's no twisting in the board when you put them up for the 3 legs for the shelf. And then I'll route these pieces out here. I'll probably just cut them with a handsaw like I've done this, because this material it's quite strong, but it's very soft and easy to cut. Might even just cut it out with a Stanley knife and then run through with a small chisel. To be honest, it's that easy to cut. Just need to round these corners off the same. And once I've done that, got them all sanded and looking nice and smooth there, I'll drill them out, get them prepped, and then I'll stain them with some black wood stain, and then probably seal it tomorrow with a bit of Osmo oil, Danish oil or something like that, just to give it a nice surface finish. Get on with the next bit. Okay, so that middle piece, I've just used a 29mm round over bit in my router. Just a cheap one, Katsu. I think they're about 30 odd quid, or were when I bought that on Amazon a couple of years ago. So let's give that a nice round over that's the same size as the other pieces. Now I'll just clamp them all together, flatten the tops off, and then I'll round over the bit for the shelf while I'm out here doing it. Get on with the next bit. Okay, so I've just clamped them up to get them flat, and I've just planed those surfaces off together now. So I sat these onto a flat surface in the house on a worktop, clamped them up, and I've just planed the tops level. I'll give them a sand now with the orbital sander, and they'll be ready for the routing piece taken out to accept the aluminium shelf. It's quite easy material to work with, cork. It's strong, but it's really soft and easy to work. That's reasonably smooth now. I'll say these surfaces you won't see, they'll be on the top that the shelf's fixing to. I'll go and route them out, the slots for the shelf that are going to go in between the first and second pieces, and then I'll use my round over bit on the walnut shelf that I bought. Not turning out to take too long, this is quite an easy job. Okay, so here's a piece of aluminium plate sheet that I got off eBay, 4mm thickness. That's ridiculously strong. I've probably got away with 3mm or maybe even 2mm, but it was only about £10, so that's not a bad price delivered. So what I've done is I've just rounded the corners off with a file and then used some wet and dry to smooth over the edges to make it nice and smooth. Then put some masking tape on there so I don't get glue on the edge. And then I'm going to stick this piece of bonded leather material. This is quite cheap, it's about £15 for a metre by 1.3 metres off the roll delivered. A bit stronger than PU leather, a bit more, less likely to mark. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray some contact adhesive. You can use mounting adhesive or carpet adhesive, it's the same stuff. It's a spray contact adhesive over the surface of this and over the surface of the leather. What I'm not going to do is give them a chance to set up too much, because you get an instant bond if you let them dry to tacky. So I'll put them together wet so that I can smooth out the leather and any wrinkles in it, and then I'll leave it for probably 24 hours. There's enough weight in that to hold itself down. Give that 24 hours to set, and then I'll just use a Stanley knife to trim the edge around here, and that will give me the shelf for my imitation Grovemade monitor shelf. So that's stuck down now. I've just sprayed some contact adhesive to this outside, and then the same to the reverse surface of that. Then just laid this out, drop this on. I'll let that set up, probably give it 24 hours, maybe a bit less, see how well it sticks. Then once it's stuck, I'll then use a Stanley knife with it face down like that on top of this cutting board to just trim that bonded leather material off flush, and then I'll burnish the edge with a piece of wood just to make the leather nice and smooth on the edge, with a bit of wax probably. And that's the shelf for the fakey Grovemade monitor desk stand shelf that I'm making. So there's the finished aluminium shelf. A nice shiny underside, and then the top finished in bonded leather. The edge is quite smooth, but I might just give that a going over with a little bit of wax or polish just to smooth that edge out a little bit. That's all it needs. To be honest, it glued pretty much solid, so I couldn't peel it off after about 30 minutes. And then this will fit in between the two cork sections that I've got there for the edge, middle cork section, and then there'll be a further one on for the end. The shelf itself, the top piece, is a piece of 22mm thick butcher's block walnut, a walnut shelf that was got from Wickes for about 20 something pounds, I think it was. That will make the new shelf. I'm going to round the edge of that over because it's got quite a sharp edge with a small round over bit on my router so that it matches the Carby desk top that I'm going to be using for the computer. And then put all that together, I'm going to stain the cork black with some ordinary wood stain. I'm quite happy with that. That's really strong, looks very nice. That'll make a nice intermediate shelf on that unit. Just time to get on with the rest of it. So then, to create the channels for the shelf, I've measured that to be about 4mm for the aluminium and then another mil for the leather. So I've marked these out at 5mm, just over. And what I've used is a Stanley knife. It's quite soft material, easy to cut through. Used a square to mark the line. Cut down slightly over 10mm with the blade on the Stanley knife, and I'm just using a thin 5mm chisel bit just to rake out that groove enough so that the shelf is going to fit into it. About 10mm deep should do it, and then that will hold it in place. And get on with the next bit. So that's the rough idea of what it should look like. Those couple of pieces of cork to use as the upstands for the shelf, and then with those pieces of cork routed out, well, I've just used Stanley blade and then carefully used a 5mm chisel bit, just carefully gouge out. You're not really even working with this stuff so soft, it comes out really easy, but it's still strong enough to do the job. It's just really easy to work with. Just remember to try and go forward with your strokes, not pushing back from this edge, because they can break away because it is quite a soft material. But these will get stained black now, and then I'll seal them as well, either using some lacquer or some probably some Osmo top coat oil to seal them in. That's the basis of the shelf. And I'm just going to route around the edge of the walnut shelf that I bought from Wicks, and that'll be the shelf near enough there. Just die them in ready, drill through a couple of places, about 2 inches in there, 2 inches in there, and then recess a screw into there by countersinking that hole so the screw doesn't touch the desk, and then cut a screw down so that it just goes deep enough into the shelf to get a grip. It hasn't got to be really strong. It's literally just holding this in place to stop it moving around. You could glue it, but I don't really see the point. It's going to be virtually self-supporting. Just fix them into place, and then that'll be it. I did think about routing out the worktop to accept these, but you can do it if you're really in the mood for it, but I don't see what difference it's going to make. These have been planed and sanded down nice and flat. You're not really going to be able to see whether they've been recessed in or not. So I think that'll be perfectly fine. So I'll stain these up, and then I'll get on with routing a 5mm round over bit on the worktop. So this is the Wicks solid walnut shelf, done in a butcher's block, same as the Carl B IKEA worktop, except this is solid wood and not veneer. So what I've done with this is it's got quite a sharp edge on it. I was going to use a round over bit, or I could have even fluted it down by using the fluted bit there to undercut that edge, but to be fair, I understand why Grovemade would do that with their shelf, because it matches the same aerofoil edge as they have on their desk. But in order to match better with a Carlsby desk that's just got a little pencil round edge there, I was going to use a router, but it was taking so little off, I just ended up using my orbital sander just to smooth that edge round on the front and back edges. It needs resealing, but I'll just wipe that with a bit of top oil or Danish oil just to bring the colour of the wood back again. But it's a lovely worktop and surface to use. I would have preferred it if it had a bit more of the more stripy walnut in there, but it still looks quite good. And it's a very good price for what it is. It's a 1.2 by 230mm shelf, which is pretty much exactly the same size as the Grovemade plywood shelf, but again, that's not solid walnut, it's just a plywood with a walnut veneer on it. So this should last for a good long while, and it's easily to refinish as well. If you get any nicks or marks on it, you can just sand them out same as you would any kitchen worktop, and then just re-oil the top in. Well, that's roughly how it's gonna end up looking. Just need to a bit better. Square these all up so these parts will get stained. This will get re-oiled now that I've sanded those edges smooth. I'll say they were a bit sharp, but I didn't want anything too rounded on there, because that's pretty much the same edge as the Carby worktop that I'll be using for the desk. So it will just, you'll get some cohesiveness there between the desk and the worktop. Obviously the Grovemade one has got a lot of that cut back aerofoil edge, but that's on the Grovemade desks, they have an aerofoil edge, so that gives it a cohesive of design, whereas this will match better with the Carby worktop, with it being butcher's block as well, the same finish as that. Slightly smaller width of block, but that does okay with it being a smaller shelf. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. Just need to stain these up, drill a couple of holes through the middle, recess them, a couple of screws in there. Bada bing, bada boom. There's a, well, to be fair, slightly better copy of a Grovemade shelf. There's the nice little, as solid as anything that is, aluminium shelf there, and this leaves a perfect space for me to stick my laptop in, and I'll have my keyboard and mouse set up on the worktop. Nice, very happy with that. Give it a little bit of staining, a little bit of oil. A few screws through the bottom of these, and that's done. Basically about an hour and a half's work. Well, not even that, an hour. Like I say, these you can just order up to size. I had this cut exactly to size from a drop down list on eBay. 400 by 200 4mm aluminium. You probably could go a bit thinner, but that's really strong. I'd rather probably stay with the 4mm than that. It's not too much of an issue. It's got a nice smooth edge on it. I prefer the actual real leather, real bonded leather, rather than PU, and I've got loads of this material left back, so I'll probably make myself a desk mat out of it as well, because the polyurethane, the plastic leather ones, don't seem to last very long, whereas the real leather material here, set on a bit of cork backing, that'll make a nice desk mat. So get on with the next bit. So that's the shelf upstands, stained black with some wood stain, ebony wood stain, and then I've drilled some pilot holes through there. That's 4-inch deep, so I've used some 4-inch screws and then countersunk them into there. I'll just touch that in with a bit of black dye. And what I've done then is I've just used some Osmo top oil, like a worktop oil or Danish oil, just to seal that after it was done. I mean, it's quite warm today, it's about 27 degrees, so this stuff dried really quick, and I put a top coat of oil on that after about an hour. Same with that. Fitted the aluminium slat in between, so I'll just spin that over and then you'll be able to see what it looks like. It's not bad for a few hours work. Quite happy with that. And there's the finished shelf. Got a nice leather surface there, sitting on top of the 4mm aluminium shelf, recessed into the Cork block, well, yoga mat that I chopped up into 3 pieces, with the solid walnut butcher's block shelf screwed and fixed into the bottom. That is absolutely spot on. Very happy with that. Very sturdy as well. I'll probably nearly stand on that, never mind put a monitor on it. Very happy with that. Very strong. Yeah, that's good. All I've got to do is completely revamp the computer room, skim the ceiling, paint the walls, build the desk up, and then I can put this on top of it. But all that can be done inside, and I wanted to get these cut bits done Outside, very happy with that. I'm really liking the look of it. Yes, very nice. Spot on. Nice little hutch for my laptop to go in there, and like I say, depending on what you need to fit in there, you can alter it and customise the size to suit whatever you want to put in it. I think that works out to about 50 quid. Not bad. Couple of 3 hours work, all done and dusted. On to the next job.